Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here for my Monday this and that video. And if you are new to my channel, what these Monday videos are about or whatever I feel like talking about. I do try to get a little teaching time in, throw a few pointers in, answer some questions that have come in the past week, plus whatever's currently going on. So I will be talking some about the garden today, since it's, things are starting to grow now, and just kind of share with you a little bit of what's going on. Not a whole lot to show you, but I'll try to get a few pictures in here. And one thing that's, especially for this video, that's important that you understand is that the this and that videos you see is only about a 3-day difference from the time that it's shot to the time that it publishes. Now, for some people that might sound like a lot, but it's the way I have to do things. But when it comes to pretty much the rest of my videos, the minimum time from the time that they're shot to the time they actually publish can be 3 weeks, sometimes 4. So anyway, I'm saying all that so you understand how my channel works. It's just a way that I can always make sure I'm ahead whatever life throws our way, such as I bring this up a lot when my mother passed away in early 2019. It was so nice to be ahead that I didn't have to worry about shooting videos and doing all that stuff during the roughest part of all that. So that's why I stay ahead. Before I get into the main topics at hand, I want to go back and talk a little bit about the video that published on Thursday of this last week, which was about how we got over the C virus. There was something somebody said that really surprised me in regards to the word jab. I want people to understand that I have never at any time in using that word in any video I shoot have ever meant any disrespect, nor would I have ever thought people took it that way, especially for those who did go ahead and decide to get those particular injections. But I want to explain to you that there's a reason why channels, you'll hear them use those words and others rather than the one that starts with a V. And that is because certain words can cause a channel's video to either be demonetized at the least, or taken down, or even have their whole channel shut down. And a lot of us are still very much not sure what words are acceptable now, because they've lifted some of those restrictions on certain words because they're so commonly used. But even then, a lot of us are still a little gun shy at what we can and cannot say. That is the only reason you will hear that terminology used a lot. So I apologize if anyone was offended by that. Just understand me, I never meant to offend or disrespect anyone in regards to using that word. So I hope you understand there is a reason why a lot of us do that. You'll hear most channels across YouTube will do the same thing. And even with the words that they have told us are okay to say, we still get a little bit nervous about saying them. So we try to be very careful about the verbiage we use. So let's start off with the garden stuff. I'm just going to cover a few things that are going on out there. As I mentioned in previous videos, my rhubarb is growing, looking really healthy. I've got a lot of herbs that I've noticed within the past week that are really starting to pop up. These are my perennials, such as the marshmallow and the valerian. The dandelions are starting to bloom. And just so you know, when it comes to dandelions, those first flowers, I do not pick them. I leave them there and only pick them once they turn to seed, and then that's the seed that goes on our store. But I like to leave those dandelion flowers for a while because that's the first flower that blooms in the spring, and so that's basically the first food for your bees. So I'm not to the point of harvesting any of those yet, and the leaves I don't harvest until the flowers start to slow down and the leaves get much bigger and are very, very healthy. Not that the small leaves don't have a lot of great benefits to them, though. You can harvest those now if you want. And let's see what else. My rosemary, especially the one on the south side of the house, is looking really good. My thyme is starting to grow. Oh yes, and I saw some signs of my echinacea, usually one of the last perennials out of the, like the marshmallow, the valerian, and so on, that I start seeing coming up out of the ground, and that's looking good. And the very last one I usually see is the anise hyssop start to grow, and I actually saw some signs of life coming up out of the ground there, so it's very exciting. Last week I did talk about the nettle. Right now I'm giving it a break. I'll be harvesting more once it fills back in again, and I'm just going to keep doing that. So that's one thing that's great about nettle, is it's a cut and come again kind of herb. herb or vegetable, however you want to look at it. I see it as both. My clusters of tomato starts are ready to go out into the greenhouse. I actually should have done this a little bit sooner, but I'll be doing that here in a couple of days. And so what I do is I take them out of the 4-inch pot and then move them into bigger pots for a time out in the greenhouse. And the reason I don't put them directly in the ground then is because we'll have spurts of some nice weather, but we're still in a very wet time of the year. And so, in fact, right now it's raining out there at this moment, even though yesterday was nice all day. So the chickens like to hang out in the greenhouse. So I like them to be able to go in there for as long as I possibly can until the tomatoes get too big for those pots out there. Then I'll separate them out and transplant them into the ground at that point. And then at that point, chickens are no longer allowed in the greenhouse because I put those in the ground rather than keeping them in pots and uplifted where the chickens can't dig them up. And then a lot of those herb seeds that I bought this year, in fact, all of them that I bought, even though I planted them at different times here in the house, they're all starting to pop up and looking really good. My pansies, my arnica, mullein, the sweet woodruff that I'm going to try using to make a vanilla extract. And then I also have those little eggplants that are looking really, really healthy, the mini eggplants. Excited to try those. So I haven't decided where exactly I'm going to put those yet. I'm thinking about putting them in pots on the front deck because they're supposed to be good for planting in a container because they are smaller variety. Oh yes, and then my peppers, I'll be moving those Chinese 5-color pepper plants. They're also looking very good. After I do the tomatoes, I'll wait probably another week and then start moving the peppers out there too to the greenhouse. And those I do leave in pots. Oh yes, I was going to mention too, the green onions. So green onions that I planted last year are starting to grow again. So how I do it, and I just ordered up some more from Misfits Market because I can get this all organic through there, is I will buy some green onions in the spring, in the early spring, use up the green part, plant the white part, and then it'll give me green onions from spring through fall and even sometimes a little bit in the early winter before it just stops growing or completely dies back. But then early spring they start growing again. But sometimes not all of them will come back, so I'll usually buy a new bunch and start over. So I love doing that with green onions. It's so great because you can buy the onions and then you can just have them keep paying you back and paying you back and paying you back. It's wonderful. Oh yes, and then the other garden related thing is my ginger. It now has 2 more shoots coming out and doing really well, but I'm going to be transplanting that. I got a bigger pot that I'm going to put outside, so I'm either going to put it in that, or I may get brave and put it directly out into the carrot box. At least move it to a pot outside soon because it needs to get out of the smaller pot that it's in right now. And then kind of watch it throughout the season. And if it looks like it's doing good enough, I might then go ahead and move it out to the carrot box and then pray it makes it through the winter. I think it would here. We don't have harsh winters, but I'm just not sure. So, because it's my first time successfully growing ginger. Okay, let's talk about some of the other topics. So the peanuts. I got these from Azure Standard. I was so glad to finally find not only organic peanuts, but ones that were roasted. I wish I could find them roasted and salted. Apparently Azure Standard does carry them sometimes, but they didn't have them. So I went ahead and bought the unsalted ones because we buy these like this more for a snack. Patrick, peanuts are his favorite. And we found out that Jackson, my grandson, loves them. He absolutely loves them. And he loves these just as they are. And we found that we all like them like this. We don't have to put the salt on them. These are very good. Here's the other bag right here. Is I did go ahead and buy 2 bags. I was just going to get 1 to try them out. Then I decided, no, I'm going to go ahead and buy 2. I have a feeling we're going to like them. And I kind of wish I would have got more, especially for the price. So Azure Standard, I'm going to do another update on this, is one of my favorite places to buy good organic non-GMO foods from for a good price because you can buy them in bulk. But for here, because we don't have a drop point, shipping can be pretty expensive. But for us, thankfully for our followers, anyone who buys at least $100 worth of stuff through the referral links that I put in the description box. I don't always put them in the description box. I will this time on the peanuts and the other item I'm going to mention, because when people buy through that link, I think it doesn't matter what you buy. I think it's just like with Amazon, whatever you buy through that link still gets credited to us. So as long as you buy $100 worth, we get $25 off our next order. And that has helped us a lot because sometimes my orders, especially when I'm doing 50-pound bags, can be $200 to $300 in shipping. And so I kind of wait until I have enough of those referral credits built up where I can get my shipping paid for, and then that way I can still then get the great price per pound on any of these products. And so the other one I did get was the A2A2 organic whole milk powder that somebody had told me about, and I was like, oh, I always forget to look at Azure Standard to see what they have, because here's the thing, the Prescribed for Life one I was getting finally came back in stock, the one I was getting from Amazon, but they've upped the price almost $10. And so now the Azure Standard one is definitely cheaper. You get 5 pounds instead of 4.4 pounds. So you're getting more, and it's a little bit cheaper in cost. And the A2A2 is actually a better milk anyway to begin with. They do have the standard whole organic milk powder that's a little bit cheaper, but this one's going to just be better all the way around. So I got 2 bags of that, and I'll probably still be ordering more so I can keep building up our stash of a good organic whole milk powder. So anyway, I'll talk about that more in a future video. I still need to try this particular milk powder to see how it compares in flavor to the other ones I've had. Now right here I have some more dried citrus peels. I just let them dry so that I don't have to worry about what to do with them until I'm ready to make my natural citrus peel soda or fermented citrus peels. I'm loving this so much. I'm actually finding I just crave it all day long. So I usually have some in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening. I usually have about 1 to 2 ounces every time I have some, and I love it so much. So I have a video on how I make it and why I recommend it, the health benefits of this. So I'll be linking to that video in the description box down below. And then another thing I just recently tried. So I've shot a couple of different videos. One's going to publish later about heart health. So natural ways to help with your heart health, just generally speaking. And just like with the hypertension video that recently came out, I found that hibiscus tea is really good for helping to lower chronic high blood pressure. Remember, it's chronic high blood pressure, not just high blood pressure in general, because our blood pressure is meant to go up and down throughout the day, throughout our lives, and depending on our age, weight, height, all that should vary. We should not all have the same exact numbers. It's not a one size fits all. But if you have a chronic high blood pressure, that usually is a sign of some kind of stress within the body, some kind of stress you're causing on your body because of medications you're taking and so on, or it could be a mental or emotional type stress caused from life events. So if it's chronic, then yes, we do need to bring that down to help protect our overall health. And so anyway, I had read when doing the studies on these, that hibiscus tea was good for both that and the heart health for pretty much the same reason, and for also helping to lower cholesterol levels. So I went ahead and decided to buy some because I've never tried it, and I made it up last night, and I think I made it way too strong because, as you can see, I poured it in this glass so you can see. It's red, but it almost looks black, so you can see I made it very strong. And here was the thing I didn't expect. Very tart, which obviously means it's high in vitamin C. So just to be sure, I did do a double check. Yes, it's very high in vitamin C and very good for you, but very tart. So I just made it the same strength I'd normally make any of my herbal teas. I didn't read any directions. I just poured it into the pot. So next time I make it, I'm going half that much because it was so tart that I've still been drinking it. I'm going to finish it off today. Even after watering it down some, it was still pretty tart and still pretty strong. This is after watering it down. So you don't need very much of it to make a pot. I can't tell you exact measurements right now, but that's just the way I am. I just throw stuff together. But generally speaking, I like it. I'm not usually big into tart flavored teas. So even though I love sour, I love the flavor, like I'll eat lemons and stuff like that, but not for a tea. So what I did do to kind of help, just to experiment, the first thing I've tried, and I haven't tried anything else with it yet, I'll be doing some more of that today with the rest that's in that pot, was I tried taking a pinch of nutmeg and adding it to my cup. And as I expected, a little bit unusual, but I was actually quite pleased with the flavor, and that helped sort of counteract some of that tartness to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So if any of you have any other suggestions, if you drink hibiscus tea, what are your favorite kinds of herbs or spices to mix it with, and for just overall flavor as well as the benefits to the health? So, and I'm just curious to see what any of you have to say, and I'm going to be doing more experimenting with this. And if possible, I know that marshmallow and hibiscus are related, and I grow marshmallow like nobody's business around here. I may have to consider growing this too, because while they're related and they can have similar benefits, they also have benefits that are unique to each of the plants. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to bring up, I almost forgot, I have it sitting right here. This is why I set stuff out, because even though I write notes, sometimes I'll set stuff out at the last minute when I'm like, oh yeah, I want to mention this too. So this here is my mixed spice blend, and I have a video recipe on this, on how I make it and then how I use it. One of the things that I like to do with it every once in a while, usually a lot through the winter I'll do this. I didn't do that as much this winter, probably because I was already drinking a lot of spiced tea in the evening. But in the morning, I like to add a pinch of this to my coffee, typically. I did this morning, and it's just one of those things that you can find many things to add it to that adds not only more flavor, but more of those health benefits, those antiviral, immune boosting benefits. Cloves, cinnamon, and nutmeg and ginger are the 4 main things that I add. Sometimes I'll mix it up, add a little cayenne pepper or whatever in there. So don't forget to open that description box. You need to click on, if you're on a computer, show more right down here in all caps below my channel name, or that little gray arrow right over here on this side. If you're on a smart device, I think of any kind, you should be able to find it on that side. I don't know why they make them so different, so it can be confusing, but that's how you open the description box to find any links and other information that I put in there. So I always try to link back to any videos that are relevant, especially in these this and that videos, because that's part of the reason for these, is to refer you back to videos that are already single topic videos on these specific things. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed my this and that for the week. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.